Hi, my name is Brian Cody for AE Tuts, and today we're going to be talking about the workflow between Photoshop 3D and After Effects. So let's take a look at what we're going to be creating today. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this coffee cup and style it inside of Photoshop 3D and then import that into After Effects and create a 3D scene for a fictional Joe's coffee shop. So let's get started. First, I wanted to show you the website where I got this 3D model. There's a great website out there called archive3d.net, and it's a great repository full of 3D objects that you can take and import into any of your scenes in After Effects. And so if you're someone who doesn't do a lot of 3D work but would like the occasional 3D object to use in one of your comps, this is definitely the place to go. So just if we do a search for coffee, scroll down here, we can see this is the actual coffee cup model that we're going to be using. So just download any of these, and when you unpackage it, there'll be a 3ds file in there, and that's what you can import directly into Photoshop. So let's get started. Alright, we're in Photoshop now, and one of the key things that I try to do when I'm starting out is I always create my Photoshop file in the as the comp size I'm going to be using later on in After Effects. It just helps everything flow a little bit more smoothly. So I'm going to create a 960 by 540 comp, and it's going to be square pixels. So if you want to do HD, you can do larger. I would just always try to match it up with what your composition is going to be later on in After Effects. So let's call this coffee 3D underscore tut. Say OK. Alright, first things first, whenever I'm doing 3D work, I always go to my workspace and set up Advanced 3D. Just makes things easier to navigate and work through. I also like to always work on a black background. It's just a personal preference. So we'll create a black background. Now let's go out and grab that 3ds file and import it into Photoshop. So we'll do new layer from 3D file, and we're going to browse to the coffee, or to the cup.3ds file, which we got right from that website, and we're going to drop it in. Alright, so here's our 3D model right now. As you can see, didn't import any type of textures or bump maps or anything like that. So what we need to do is style it, and that's the only problem with the website. It doesn't import any type of styling, so you have to kind of recreate that and redesign that in Photoshop. So let's start by giving it an all-white texture, because it is mostly porcelain with the white cup and the white dish, and then we'll go in and we'll paint directly on the 3D model for the spoon and for the coffee. So if you click under material, give it a double click, it'll open up, and as you can see, there's nothing in here. So let's change our foreground color to white and just create a box around the layer, so it gives it that white shape. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create another layer on top, and that'll be the layer that we're going to paint on to add our coffee. So we can save that, file save, then we'll go back to our coffee cup, and as you can see, it's still a light gray, kind of like a bluish gray, and that's because of the light. So our next step here is to go over to each light and change the color of the lights. So under our first light, it's kind of you can see that bluish gray. Let's slide it over and make it just kind of a lighter gray color. On our second light, this is kind of our main light that's doing most of the work. Let's take that and make it white to really brighten up the cup, and then let's take the intensity on that one and bump it up to 1.2. And then the third light, which is actually the light that is lighting the scene from underneath, that's got that bluish gray again, so let's take that and let's kind of give it a lighter gray color. So right now this is what you've got. You've got a got the coffee cup. It's starting to look a little bit more like a coffee cup. And one other thing I wanted to show you is on any of these lights, you can click this rotate the light button. If you click on this, you can reposition any of the lights to accent different parts of the model. Just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. It can definitely change the look of what you're trying to do significantly, but that's all personal preference. So let's next we're going to be styling the top of the coffee cup. We're going to give it that brown coffee look so that it actually looks like there's coffee in there. So let's click our brush tool and go for the master diameter and take the hardness up to about 30%. And then under our color, I've got a color that I like. It is 503408. And what we're going to do is just start painting in a swirling pattern, and just I'm going to intentionally try to leave a little bit of the white to maybe make it look like there's some cream coming up. So let's see. I'm just going to keep painting in a kind of a swirly pattern here. So kind of like that, we've got a little bit of the white showing through. Just kind of makes it look like it's got a little bit of cream there in the middle. And we've even got a little smudge here on the side, which you can go in and repaint white if you don't like it, but it could just be just another little coffee stain. So it still works. And so next, let's color the spoon to give it more of a silver look. So let's take our brush and kind of give it just kind of like a little bit of a grayish silver kind of look here, just to make a contrast with the rest of the plate. So we'll go back to our brush tool and let's zoom in, and we'll go let's do about 9 or 10 on our brush, and we'll take the hardness up to about 30%, maybe go up to 11 here. So let's start painting on the spoon, go right down the middle. Alright, now let's take it down to about 5. Take the hardness from around 30, and we'll get the skinnier part of the spoon. Come back up here and just smooth it out a little bit, and then let's bump up the brush to about 45. Take down the hardness, and then we'll be able to cover just the middle part of the spoon here. So let's give it a little bit more. And good thing about this workflow is that when you do import the Photoshop file into After Effects, it's a live 3D, so you can always come back and make a couple different changes. You can see if you've painted over the lines at all a little bit, all you got to do is go back to your brush tool, make sure it's just that white, and you can go ahead and paint over any little mistakes that you've had, so we can smooth this out. Like so. You can spend hours touching this stuff up, but I think this is good enough for what we're trying to do today. We've got a little bit of a smudge right here. I might just smooth out. And there you go. Now it's starting to look a lot like a cup of Joe. So let's just save this. All you have to do is save it in the normal Photoshop PSD file format, and we'll save it in our footage as coffee3d underscore tut, and we'll save that. Say OK. So let's close Photoshop and let's move over to After Effects. So now we're in After Effects, and what we're going to do is let's so now we're in After Effects. Let's go and import that 3D model in right away and get started. So double click anywhere in the gray area, and we'll navigate to our 3D file that we just created. Here's our coffee 3D underscore tut PSD. So key thing when you're importing this is to make sure that it's imported as a composition. So that'll set everything up for you. So we'll click open, and make sure you keep live Photoshop 3D checked, and all these settings are fine. So we'll drop this in. So here's our coffee tut. Let's double click it to open it up, and here it is. It defaults to about 10 seconds, and the cup's only it's being stopped here right around 1 second. So let's take that and drag it all the way out and do a little bit of housekeeping here. Let's right click on the layer and let's make it about 20 seconds, so we get a little more time to do our animation and for people to be able to read the final message. So let's go out here and pull everything out to the full 20 seconds. Now on these, you can't. It's not as simple as being able to pull them out. What you can do is you can remap the time, and let's stretch the cup out to 200%. And this shape layer here we actually don't even need. We can delete that. So right now we've just got our 3 layers, and here's our cup controller, which actually you don't actually move the cup itself. This cup controller is a null object, and the cup is parented to the null object. So that's what's controlling the movement. So let's first of all, under our little housekeeping, let's get rid of these. It's got the z-axis pushed way out, and I just like to make it right around. Just like to bring these in. So this is about a -10, and so the cup controller is about 0. Alright, so we've moved out the coffee cup to 20 seconds. So let's get started. Our first step here is let's give it a little background. Right now we've just got the coffee cup in there. So let's go up to Layer, New, Solid. We can just make it a white solid. Let's call it BG for our background. We'll say OK. Now let's do a ramp. So let's go to Effect, Generate Ramp, and we'll change the starting color. Just kind of give it like a nice tan color. I've found that EBCB98 works well. And then let's take the bottom part of this and just kind of drag it down a little bit more, just to pull this down, spread it out a bit, maybe bring this up a bit too. So there's our background color. Let's take it and slide it to the bottom. So right now you've just got your coffee cup with a little gradient ramp behind it. And next, let's go over to our project. And actually the only other image that we're going to need to use in this comp is this wood texture. And I've found this wood texture on DeviantArt. The user's name is Jorana, I think. So only thing they've asked is that we leave a little comment with them. So I'll make sure I do that after this tutorial goes live and let them check it out. So once again, I just got that DeviantArt from user Jorhana. So let's drag that out to our comp, and it's just a a wood texture. Let's go ahead and make that 3D. And what I like to do to really align this texture with the coffee cup is I'll take the position and the rotation from the or orientation from the coffee cup controller, and I'll actually paste it into the my wood image. So let's see, we've got our position. Let's take that and I'll just copy it, and for the position of the wood, drop that in there. Control C, Control V. So on the orientation, so as you're playing around in Photoshop, sometimes it'll take all that and it'll save all the orientation. It's hard just to make things zero. So this at least will get everything set up together. So under orientation, just click it once and say Control C, and then go into your wood texture under orientation, click Control V. So another thing is on the scale for when you've done this, the scale got blown up a ton. So actually you can take the scale all the way down to 1%, and there you can see our wood texture. Now that you can't see the coffee cup through it because it's sitting on top of the coffee cup, so let's drag it below the coffee cup, and there you go. Now the one other thing we're going to want to do is what it did is it's got this wood texture. It doesn't really seem like it, but it's got it aligned right with this coffee cup controller, right up here, and we want to actually align it to the bottom of the cup, so when we start moving things around in 3D space, everything looks like it's all nice and aligned. So let's take our camera, click C for your camera controller, and let's get a nice side view of what's going on. There you go. So let's take our wood coffee cup, and as you can see, it aligned right with the wood is aligned right with our coffee cup controller, and the only problem with that is the coffee cup's supposed to be sitting on top of the wood, so we need to take the wood texture and move it down just a bit. So let's take it and then take the Z and we'll pull it down just a little bit so it's sitting right with the bottom of the cup, and it's about as good as we're going to get it right there. So now let's take let's go back to our camera tool and rotate it around, and that's kind of our starting point. So next, let's do a little bit of color correction on the wood. I just wanted to give it kind of a little bit of a reddish, kind of more of a red, richer color, so like it's some cherry or something like that. So let's go under Effect, Color Correction, Curves. So we'll go in there. Let's take the red and punch it up just a bit. And then we'll go under our RGB and give it a little bit more contrasty look. So it kind of darkens it just a little bit, gives it a little bit of a richer feel. And next, it's time to start our camera animation. So what we're going to do is we're going to just mess with the camera until we get things looking the way we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our camera tool. We're going to be spending a lot of time with our camera tool today. So let's just zoom out the camera a little bit and let's rotate it. And this is pretty much the starting spot of where you want this what you want this cup to be at. Let's zoom out to about 50%. And so we're sitting right there. That looks like a pretty good spot. So let's go to our position and open that up. Let's take our point of interest and our position and click the stopwatch on those to set a keyframe. And then let's zoom in here a little bit. And then so that'll be sitting there right until about 1 second. And then let's go out to about just before 2 seconds, about a second later. Let's take our camera and let's zoom it in, and these controls are real touchy, so you gotta take it real slow. And let's just move our cup over. And every time I do this, it seems to be different, but you can definitely play around with a bunch of different a bunch of different looks as you're making the coffee cup fly around in 3D space. And let's take our point of interest, and let's see, let's go out to 0.8. Maybe go up to 68, and then for the Y, let's go 78.3. Slides it over. Actually, let's do the position. Let's do 478.3. Kind of moves things over, gives it kind of an interesting look. And so, we're going to leave that there. Let's copy these keyframes so it can sit there. You have time just to read the copy real quick, and then let's move out to about another second layer later and change the camera position again. Let's rotate it a little bit, slide it back here, and slide it up a little bit, and then let's zoom out. And I'm cycling through the different camera controls by clicking C, and we'll take it out just a bit, about right here, and move it over just a little bit. Another thing you can do is take the camera rotation tool, rotate it around, just to give you an interesting look. And one thing we want to do is keep the kind of be looking up at the cup, because this is where the coffee is going to come pouring in here in just a little bit. So let's duplicate those keyframes again, so to give time for the coffee to pour in. And then let's go to our final position, which is going to be us looking down on the coffee cup with the final text. So let's rotate it and bring our coffee cup up. And you can put it in any, if you want to wrap the text around it like this, you can do whatever you want. Just all personal preference here. Whoa, see, I went a little crazy there. And let's zoom in a little bit. Bring it back over. Bring it down just a touch. Whoa. And like I said, this is a little tricky to get all this dialed in exactly. So take your time and just make very small adjustments here. So let's see. I want to go in and do a little fine tuning with the on the Y position here. Let's make this 68, and let's go up a little bit more. Take this and go. Let's go 80, and let's make this 69. Oop, nope, 67. And then take this and bring it back. Let's go 79.5, and there's a lot of this little fidgeting you're going to have to do to get it set up exactly how you want. But so right now that's where we're at. Let's do let's kind of do a little half res preview to see how that animation's flowing for us. Well, that's looking pretty good, so stay tuned for part 2 of this tutorial, where we'll add in text, create a drop shadow, and simulate the liquid pouring into the coffee cup, as well as add a few other details to come up with our final effect. Thanks.